You're listening to Puma Podcast.
Hi, I'm Franco Luna, Puma Podcast, and you're listening to Teka Teka News. In this episode,
While we may have fallen a bit short of our expectation in the FIBA World Cup, I believe Gilas Pilipinas battled and fought well till the end of the group phase campaign. The team never gave up. It's never say thy spirit, unwavering to the last. It is a firm personal belief now, the Gilas Pilipinas team journeying to Hangzhou will never give up as well. It is written all over them.
in the words of Rob Perez, here's the Gilas fan therapy session we all needed. Let it all out. This is a safe place.
I was part of this whole experience the last 4 months, 3.5 or so that we went to Lithuania, we went to China, we were in Inspire camps. We were doing practicing just all of the time. It was very, very wearing for the players. And we were really happy that we were able to beat China. And obviously we had a sour taste in our mouths from the fact that we had an opportunity to beat Dominican Republic.
You just heard Tim Cohn, the newest coach of the Gilas Pilipinas men's basketball program, heading into the Asian Games. August 25th, Gilas Pilipinas versus the Dominican Republic. It's a momentous occasion for the typical Filipino sports fan. We had NBA caliber talent playing at the Philippine Arena in Bocaue, Bulacan. All along EDSA were posters that read, "Mabuhay FIBA athletes." The other side had three-time NBA All-Star Karl Anthony Towns, the Big Purr as they call him. But we had the reigning NBA Sixth Man of the Year in Jordan Clarkson. Not the same level of talent, but what we lacked in name recall, we made up for in heart. Or so we thought. All things considered, it was a winnable game. We made our shots, we forced turnovers, and played stingy defense. We won both quarters in the second half. But we also threw the dribble drive game that worked in 2014 against an international game that was slowly but surely following the footsteps of the NBA's three-point revolution. Look, back then it read like a perfectly sound game that maximized the offensive talent of our relatively undersized yet relentlessly talented guard play. In 2023, it looked like a team without any pet actions to run in the half court. The bad habits we saw in this game would carry over to practically all our showings in these games. Turnovers, no offensive identity, and leaving shooters open.
It took JC 3 or 4 games to get a feel for the game and all that stuff. So, it could have very easily been different. That's why I keep saying, and people don't believe me, but I thought Chuck did a tremendous job. The preparation all the way through Lithuania and Estonia and China.
The result? A loss to Angola, and then a loss to Italy. 0-1, 0-2, 0-3, 0-4. Shots of Jordan Clarkson shedding tears in a Gilas jersey flooded social media, as did criticism of head coach Chot Reyes, who has since stepped down. Now our coach has resigned and was replaced by Tim Cohn. How did we get here? The Philippines has a long and rich history of basketball. The national team first competed in the FIBA World Championship in 1954, where they won a bronze medal. We also won a gold medal in the 1954 Asian Games. In the 70s and 80s, the Philippines was one of the top basketball teams in Asia. They won another gold medal in the 1985 Asian Games. In the early 2010s, the Samahang Basketball ng Pilipinas launched the Gilas Pilipinas program. It was designed to rebuild the national team and make it a contender for international titles. Gilas was successful in its early years. The team won a silver medal in the 2013 FIBA Asia Championship, and they qualified for the 2014 FIBA World Cup. Ika nga, ball don't lie. But ball don't stop either, and there's still much to look forward to.
I feel good about it. I'm excited. I have great trepidation. I know how good these teams are going to be. We were making jokes after the China game. So we beat China. We were sitting around in the locker room and saying, "Whoa," to the next coach who has to go to the Asian games and play China after we beat their butts here in Manila. And then it turns out to be me. Pucha.
We're pausing for a quick break now. When we return, let's talk about coaching.
On September 23, the curtains will rise at the Hangzhou Olympic Sports Expo Center in Hangzhou, China, for the 19th Asian Games. With 45 nations participating, including the Philippines, it is in the spirit of service to the country, the same moving force that brought together the corporate world's Ramon Ang and SBP Chairman Emeritus Manny V. Pangilinan to merge their strengths of business and sports that Barangay Ginebra coach Tim Cone agreed. Joining Coach Tim at the Gilas Pilipinas bench for the Asian Games are SMC Sports Director Al Francis Chua as team manager. It is aimed at further benefiting Philippine basketball as a whole.
Coaching is an intricate yet oft misunderstood component of basketball's daily grind. On your best days, you're usually sitting on the sidelines while your players take in the glory from the wins you helped put together. On your worst days, failures in what is supposed to be a team sport are framed as individual shortcomings, and those imperfections are placed front and center for the world to see. Enter Chot Reyes.
We just had 2 words in our board. We didn't have any X's and O's up there in our board before the game. We just had 2 words, dig deep. And we reminded the players that no matter the typhoon, the weather, being essentially a no-bearing game, the crowd still came, Filipinos still came to watch. And we said that let's make sure that we end this with a gift for the Filipino people, for their continued belief and their support for the team. To be able to do that, we have to dig deep. And that's what the players did. So proud. Fortunately, the result didn't come out as we expected, but to end with a win, no greater feeling.
As you know, or might have participated in yourself, much was said about Chot Reyes in the wake of the FIBA Games here in Manila. Whether it's his rotations, he could have played Renz Abando or CJ Perez more, while Kai Soto was on the tightest of leashes for what feels like the entire tournament. Or maybe his lack of offensive imagination. Practically every facet of his game plan was picked apart by passionate fans online.
That's the nature of the game. That's the nature of international tournaments, especially for the Philippines. I don't think it's like for Indonesia or, they're not going to be the same backlash in Indonesia for losing or Thailand, even most countries. There's such passion to the sport here. The European teams, when their football team loses in the World Cup, it's like the end of the world. They have riots.
Again, that's new Gilas interim head coach Tim Cone. The post-game slander, which by the way was absolutely not undeserved for the most part, roared on social media. 5-0 in moral victories daw tayo. Panay lessons learned na naman kamo. But Coach Tim says Chot Reyes, the person, not the coach, took it all in stride. Here's Coach Tim in an interview back in April with Rafe Bartholomew, host of our other Puma podcast show, The Global Bounce.
He does have incredibly thick skin, but I'm around him intimately, and I see the moments that he is really hurt. He tries to avoid social media, but it's hard to avoid social media. And you're right, he does roll with the punches. And I just got through telling him on the way home from Bangkok that I don't think I could do this day to day and receive what you do. It would wear me down. I would think about it all the time if I was going under that much scrutiny and people were hitting on me as hard as they did on Chot.
That's one reality that basketball tacticians have to deal with that maybe fans like you and me don't recognize in the heat of the moment. There were winnable games we couldn't close out, but what we do have now to take away are the moments. For as long as I live, I'm going to remember Renz Abando's block on 6'7" Gianpaolo Ricci of Italy, And what about Jordan Clarkson going Steph Curry mode to sink 5 trays in a row to take us home against China? Those moments are the stuff of legends, and my children's children are going to hear about them.
But the fact that he keeps coming back to it is very admirable. And he does play the call. And it's not all the time that he's seeking this out. So it's really kind of unfair. I think that's a really good perspective and looking at it in terms of everybody thinks he's doing it just for the glory and the attention and all that. I honestly don't think he does it for that. I think he really is just a patriot. I love seeing Chuck as the Filipino leading the national team. I like that. It's a great look for the country.
Being the best placed Asian team would have qualified us for the Olympics. We all know this. But we have 2 weeks to go until the Asian Games, and we can start again from scratch. Look, there's probably no way around it at this point. We were once the kings of basketball in most parts of Asia. A powerhouse in a region that didn't really connect with the game like we did. And in this moment, at least for now, we're not.
I mean, we have a great future in international basketball. We really do. Our problem is keeping that team together. You know, we don't have those things under our control. And so you deal with what you can control, right? Well, we got to find the best guys we can get, fill out all the positions, bring them together at one time, and then just bust. I'm a guy that I don't look back, and I don't regret. I've learned through my 34 years, you can't coach like that.
In fact, new head coach Tim Cohn says he knows this feeling of pressure well. And the whirlwind that is Philippine basketball had prepared him well for this moment. Here he is again in his interview for the Global Bounce.
You know, if we win, it's no big deal. If we lose, it's the end of the world. And when we lost to Cambodia, it was literally the end of the world. Nobody expected us to lose to Cambodia. I mean, Cambodia has never been a basketball power. I think probably the last time we played Cambodia, we beat them by 80 points. So for them to suddenly raise their head and take us apart, it was really, I think, frustrating for the whole country. But there was, basically 6 imports that we were playing against. So, they weren't an easy team. And obviously, they went all the way to the finals as well. So they were the team to beat.
Coach Tim says he hopes he can pick up the pieces and give fans the performance they deserve. Because that's the connection he's come to find with Filipino basketball culture. In his words, local na rin siya.
I'm an American by passport, but I think of myself as a local coach. I try, honestly do. I'm glad to be, a local coach, a part of the national team and helping support the national team. Sorry, I just don't see myself as a foreign coach. I know others do, but I don't.
None of this is to say that there's nothing to look forward to. Who could forget that last game against China, after all?
Balik kay Clarkson. Clarkson again! You've got to be kidding me! Finish to this outstanding effort by Gilas Pilipinas. And Dwight Ramos.
But as with all things, the only constant is change. No matter how you feel about the Philippines' performance, you can't deny these World Cup games were chock full of storylines to keep any basketball fan satisfied until the NBA season comes around. What about the renewed discourse with the NBA calling its yearly winners world champions?
You know, the thing that hurts me the most is that I have to watch the NBA finals and they have world champion on their head. World champion of what? The United States? Don't get me wrong. I love the US at times, but that ain't the world. That is not the world. We are the world. We have almost every country out here fighting, thriving, putting on their flag to show that they are represented. There ain't no flags in the NBA.
Or what about, for example, Team USA's shocking loss to Lithuania? What does that indicate in this whole saga of the USA no longer being the powerhouse team it once was? This is just to say that other teams have their problems and we have ours. Bilog nga ang bola, pero bilog din ang mundo. Even outside representing the country in the FIBA and the international game, the elusive goal is still finally getting a Pinoy in the best basketball association in the world. And every Pinoy hooper knows this. Listen to how Kiefer Ravena reflects on that.
I mean, in a perfect world, obviously, I'd probably want to play in the NBA, but there's no place that I'd rather be, than what I have right now in front of me. I just try to focus in as much as I can, always on the present, with what's in front of me.
When we ask ourselves where we go from here, there's probably a conversation we need to have about our reliance on players like Justin Brownlee and Jordan Clarkson, and how necessary it actually is. I mean, is that really indicative of our skill gap with the rest of the world when we were winning with college athletes just a few short years ago? Here's a reminder that all of us need to hear right now. It's not the end of the world for Philippine basketball, even if it is a significant step back after everything we saw in the Tab Baldwin era. Yeah, the team had been preparing for the World Cup for several years. This Gilas Pilipinas team was so very confident that it could at the very least make a deep run in the World Cup. And yeah, we had a talented roster of players and a strong home court advantage. But as Kiefer Ravena says,
at the end of the day, it's just basketball. You try to have fun as much as you can. Obviously, the pressure is there, and I guess the pressure from the fans, the expectations of the fans adds on to the already pressure-packed situations. And Filipino fans are so passionate that I would say, they're not the kindest when you put it into words, especially when it comes to their national team.
the road ahead is uncertain, but with fans like us, you can only expect good things from the little basketball country that could. Let's hear it from Kiefer Ravena again.
It's just really different. I mean, once you put on that jersey, you feel like you're a soldier. I mean, we wouldn't be the front line for any war like our admirable soldiers out here in the army. But this is what we're good at. Like, our soldiers are good at war. This is what we're good at. And this is an opportunity for us to showcase our passion, honor, and glory for our country and pride. This is our chance to carry the hopes, the pride of 120 other million Filipinos who love basketball.
And that was today's episode of Teka Teka News. Again, I'm Franco Luna. This episode was edited by Freddy Blanco. Our Teka Teka News executive producer is Jill Caro, and our senior editor is Veronica Uy. If you found this episode useful, share it with a friend. Help Teka Teka News reach more people and keep the show going. Hear more from Coach Tim Cohn and Kiefer Ravena in future episodes of The Global Bounce, hosted by Rafe Bartholomew. The show is coming back on September 22. Thanks for listening.